Hello, gear nerds of the internet. It is not Groundhog's Day, but look what I'm reviewing. Still don't know how to pronounce it. Douk Audio T4 Plus. Let's talk about it again.
Six in the morning.
So, this is a product that I reviewed a while ago, and I didn't love it. I thought that it had no bass. It sounded like it had a high-pass filter where all of the low end was being removed. And you might be asking yourself, then why are you reviewing this thing again? Well, I'm an idiot. That's number one. Number two is that this is the one video that I have been ratioed the most on. I have a 61.4, I think, percent favorable thumbs up on this video. Most of the time it's between 80 and 100. So I started wondering, am I wrong or is the world wrong?
Am I so out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong.
And then also, I did a review of the Bugle MC from Hagerman, and I realized that audio break-in is real. It's not just imaginary. So that also got me thinking, did I not give this thing enough time to break in? And then most importantly, I noticed that this is a different version. And how do I know that? Well, this now has a VU meter adjust. So did they do other things to make this sound better? We're going to talk about that. I still don't know how to pronounce this. Douk.
2,000 years later.
Douk audio? I don't know. So I researched how to pronounce this. I thought maybe it was something from Mandarin or some other dialect. No, it's just a random made-up word that doesn't make any sense. These people are also the people who make knob sound. Another questionable name. Hey, if you're a Chinese business owner and you're thinking about making audio products, down below is an email address. You email me. Work something out. I will help you name your company because these names really suck. And I guarantee there are people who are like, I might buy that if it wasn't called something weird. If you're interested in this at all, down below is also an Amazon link for this product to make your life easier. So let's talk about the features. As you can see, it has a VU meter. This lights up. Has a big red knob. That's kind of cool. This is, as you can hear by the click maybe. So this is off, and then now you're powered on, and now you can turn it up. So this thing functions as a preamp where you can control the volume to your everything, or you can just use it as a phono preamp. So this is where you control the volume. Then it has headphone out. I didn't try that because I don't listen to vinyl on my headphones. As I stated, VU meter adjust. And you might be wondering, why is that there? It's actually a potentiometer. You probably can't see it because there's a little hole. It has like a little Phillips head screwdriver pot. Well, if you're using this as just a phono preamp and you have this thing just maxed out all the way, the VU meter moves quite easily and you'll actually see it jump up and down. However, if you're using it as like a preamp where you're using this to control the volume of your stereo power amp, this isn't going to move as much. So you can adjust this to make this more sensitive. That's kind of a cool option. And then you have your settings. Moving coil, moving magnet. I did not review the moving magnet section, even though I have access to 2 different moving magnet setups in my home. The reason being, they also make a very similar product, much smaller than this. It doesn't sit this way, it sits like this, for moving magnet. And that's about half the price of this. So if you're looking for a moving magnet preamp, this isn't the one for you. Save some money. And then, very nicely, they give you some loading options from 10 ohm, 22 ohm. You can read these. I'm going to read them anyway because...
We'll do it live! F*** it! Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
47 ohm. All of those are useless with almost all available phono cartridges. We don't really need those, but thanks. 100 is where you start getting into things you're probably going to use. 220 ohm, 470 ohm, 1K ohm, and then if you're on MM, it's going to be 47K ohm. And you can adjust these with the little easily accessible dip switches. On the back, at your ground, phono in, aux. So you can plug a, I don't know, what is that jack called? I don't know. A TRS? Is that what it would be called? I don't know. It's too early for this crap. Then your line out to your power amp, and then 12 volts DC. Made in China, in case you didn't know. This also features itty bitty, not so easy to get out, preamp tubes. So in contrast, this is a 12AX7, which is a small tube. 12AX7, a little itty bitty tube. I don't remember what these are. Let me read. 5657. This is a GE Jan meaning Joint Army Navy. That means that at one time the Army and Navy bought a whole bunch of these, or at least they ordered a whole bunch of these, and then they never used them. So then they went out to the world to buy as Army surplus. So that's what those are. In my experience, these tubes, these Joint Army Navy tubes, they're okay. They never sound awesome. They sound okay. You can get different tubes. It might make this thing sound better. I might do a video on that because I've been thinking about upgrading those. Comment down below if you think that that's something worthwhile. Also, subscribe if you'd like to see that. Let's talk about the box, because the box is kind of interesting. This is the box it came in. Do you see any tape? No, because they don't tape it from Amazon. How it showed up at all is kind of somewhat fascinating. It came with boxes for the preamp tubes. It came with an AC adapter, and it came with, and it probably came with an instruction manual, but I have lost that. But in the instruction manual, it does not tell you what the decibel rating is on the moving magnet or the moving coil. So I don't know how much dB gain you're getting on that MC. I can tell you, though, it was sufficiently loud with my Audio Technica AT33SA cartridge, which is what I use this with. Now you might be saying, what kind of maniac would plug a expensive, all right, it's almost $1,000 cartridge, into a $100 Phono Preamp? And the answer to that is me. I do that kind of dumb stuff. Let's talk about the sound of this thing. We're comparing this $100 thing to this. This is the Rogue Audio Stealth Phono Preamplifier. As you can see, it is significantly bigger than this. You can fit at least 3 of these into here. In fact, I upgraded the capacitors on this thing. Those capacitors cost more than this entire thing. Again, what sane person would do that? No sane person would do that, but that's what you're here for. You're here for the insanity and, frankly, stupidity of this channel. So, my system is comprised of a VPI turntable. It is the Scout version 1 with the aforementioned Audio Technica AT33SA phono cartridge plugged into this thing, or this thing, because we're comparing them, into a Quicksilver Line preamplifier that has tubes, into a Rotel something I can never remember, it'll be down below, into KEF R300 speakers. Sound quality that I remember with this was a real lack of bass. What did I hear with this? Surprisingly, there was quite a bit of bass. Like, surprisingly. Like, more bass than this. Which, this thing doesn't have a ton of low end. I definitely have had Phono Preamps that had way more low end than this. But this was not one of them. And now this one has more than this.
What?
So that was shocking in and of itself, which got me thinking, was the first one I got bad? Or did they redesign this and add more low end? Or, I don't know, I don't have another explanation. It's either redesign or you have the potential of getting one that's really not good. The biggest sound difference that I heard was that the mid-range on this was more open, where it was a little bit more hefty of a mid-range on the Rogue, which means that on the T4 Plus, you actually hear better instrument separation because of the mid-range being a bit thinner, which may or may not be a good thing to you. The highs on this are a little bit more harsh, like slightly than this. But all in all, I was shocked how well this thing sounded compared to this. Like, I was disturbed. Because this thing, when it was new, I didn't buy this new, but I think it was like $900. And then again, I put $100 worth of capacitors into this thing. This thing is $100, $109, something like that, on Amazon, and you can usually get it cheaper than that. There was a point where I was like, I'm going to sell this and keep this, because this one sounds better. And then the more I went back and forth, I found that with some music, the lack of mid-range heft on this was a little bit not what I was looking for. So I think I'm going to stick with this. But know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking I might want to swap these out and see if these actually make a difference. Because, man, guys, we live in an amazing time where you could buy something for $100 on Amazon and it sounds almost as good as the $1,000 product from a couple of years ago. It's unbelievable. We're so spoiled. Now, the longevity of this is in question. It has a bunch of surface mount components. I mean, it's all essentially surface mount components. This is not surface mount components. So this thing will probably work well into, I don't know, I'll be dead and this thing will still be going. I'm not sure if this thing will still be going in a year, but it's $100. You can buy 10 of these as a backup. Well, 9 of these as a backup to this. So the one thing that I didn't like on this was you could hear sort of what I would describe as maybe like a tube rush sound, which if you've never heard it, it kind of sounds like running water. It wasn't terribly distracting, but it was definitely there. That's another thing that might go away with better preamp tubes. Again, we'll find that out later, maybe, if I want to put more money into this thing. I also use this as a full-fledged preamp with this, which I'm actually going to do a video where I hook this thing up to a Fozzy Audio power amp to see if this and that can replace this and my Rotel. And that's pretty interesting. That's going to be an interesting video. If that sounds interesting, subscribe. There's a little button down there. You click on it, and then there's like a bell. I don't know why you have to click on that too, but click on that too. One interesting tidbit that I didn't mention is that, so this one looks more blue than the other one. I remember the other one kind of being like a gunmetal gray. This one has like a blue tint to the color. I don't know why that is, but that's a thing. I prefer the look of the other one, but this one sounds so much better, I won't complain. What are my final thoughts? Well, if you need a moving coil phono preamp, I mean, what else is in the $100 range? the iFi Air Zen, or Zen Air. I mean, this thing sounds more balanced than that. That one had a mid-range hump to it, where the mid-range was really kind of thrust in your face. This one's more balanced. I guess I prefer the sound of this to that. However, this is noisier than the other one, so if you're having an issue where you have a lot of noise in your system, this is probably going to make it worse, whereas the iFi, if you connect it to a battery, it's going to be dead quiet. The volume difference between this and this is somewhat negligible. This is definitely louder than this. I can't think of the dB range on this. I might put it here. And this one is a mystery because they don't tell us. Again, if you want to buy one of these, and I actually suggest that you try one. I mean, it's $100. It might sound better than what you're currently using. Link below. That's all I got to say. Does not suck. This version does not suck. The other one I had, I'm going to tell you, it sucked.
F***ing thing sucks!
This one's good. I don't know why. I don't.